Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us as we prepare for week 9 of the 2021 MEAC Weekly Football Coaches Video Conference. I am Karen Crichton, the Assistant Commissioner for Media Relations at the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, and I will serve as the moderator for today's meeting. I would like to remind everyone that to ask a question, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom, and when acknowledged, please state your name and indicate the media outlet that you are representing. Before we get to our head coaches, we will hear from Mr. Jeff Cunningham, the MEAC's Director of Media Relations, who will provide us with some MEAC notes. Jeff?
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. After the first full weekend of conference play, MEAC preseason favorite South Carolina State is 2-0 in the league after defeating Delaware State this past Saturday, 13-7 in Dover, Delaware. The Bulldogs have won 3 of their last 4 games, while the Spartans are now on a 5-game winning streak after they won their conference opener on Saturday, 45-31 over Howard, behind 332 passing yards from MEAC preseason Offensive Player of the Year, Jawan Carter, and 2 rushing touchdowns from Cameron Brent. Excuse me. North Carolina Central also won its MEAC opener on Saturday, hitting the road to defeat Morgan State 27-14 behind 4 touchdown passes from quarterback Davius Richard. MEAC volleyball leader Delaware State was idle this past weekend, but Howard strengthened its hold on second place in the standings with a 4-set win over Maryland Eastern Shore, while MEAC preseason favorite Coppin State won matches over South Carolina State and North Carolina Central to climb into sole possession of third place. Maryland Eastern Shore and North Carolina Central are tied for 4th heading into this weekend's action. The first champions of the 2021-22 academic year will be crowned this week, as the 2021 MEAC Cross Country Championships will be held at the Wake Med Soccer Park in Cary, North Carolina, hosted by North Carolina Central University. The women's 5K race will begin at 11 a.m., with the men's 8K race following at 11:45. Norfolk State is the defending champion, having swept the men's and women's titles in 2019, the last year the cross-country championships were held. Please visit Championship Central at meacsports.com for more information. MEAC basketball is just around the corner, and on the men's side, defending champion Norfolk State has been picked to repeat in 2021-22, while Morgan State's Detorian Ware was named MEAC preseason player of the year as voted on by the league's head coaches and sports information directors. For the women, Howard is the preseason favorite, while Morgan State's Danye Red was named preseason player of the year. For more information on MEAC football and our other 15 sponsored sports, please visit our website at meacsports.com. You can also follow the MEAC on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at MEAC Sports, and subscribe to the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube.
All right, Coach Scott, are you with us?
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. All right, Coach. Saturday's game was an offensive showdown with the team scoring a total of 76 points. Recap the game for us from your perspective.
It was, a really good Norfolk team. I think Coach has done a heck of a job with that football team, with everything in the cards that they've been dealt. But yeah, it was like you said in the end. We finally waited too late to kind of wake up and start playing to climb back in the thing. But in the end, it came down to some critical errors, 2 major turnovers, one on the cusp of the red area and one in the red zone, and a block punt for a score that ended up biting us and being a little too much for us in the end, along with time. to overcome to get back into it. But happy with the way our guys fought and strained and continued to play, and believe that, you know, no matter what it looked like, we could find a way into giving us a chance to win the game. So that's what it came down to, just 3 critical errors right there, I think, that we can point right back to that were the difference in the game.
Okay, you said, you know, your guys played well eventually, a little too late. What was the key to the Bison putting up 21 points in the fourth quarter?
I think just continuing, continue to believe. We knew we were going to have to stay patient as the game unfolded. They did a few different things, that kind of had to, dictate a little bit that we get into, running the football. They kind of turned the game into a time of possession game, kind of milking the clock and doing some things there from a strategy standpoint, offensively for them. But at the same time, it allowed us to get to some of the calls that we knew we would have down the stretch, down the field. And all we needed to do was connect on them. And we had missed a couple of them early. And we just started to connect on some of those plays later in the game. But, when you get in those type of games and it becomes a time of possession game, the clock isn't your friend. And that kind of what happened to us there in the end.
Gotcha. Looking forward to this Saturday. Delaware State is up next. What things will you focus on this week in preparation for the Hornets?
Again, it's focusing on the things we need to focus on. It's about us. We didn't have a lot of mental errors, mental mistakes, and those things. So it's not necessarily what we're doing schematically, but it's just coming out and finding a way to start faster. Execute. Consistently, I would say is our thing. And then we have done a really good job over the last few weeks on third down, and last week wasn't one of those. So where we can stay on the field and make sure we kind of help our defense out by keeping the ball and possessing the ball some. So really just, making it about us and the things that we need to do to continue to get better. I mean, every week is a learning week for us with as young as we are. So, teach the things we need to learn from. Like I said, we don't lose in our program, we learn. What do we need to learn from, things we incurred in defeat, and get ready to step on and press forward next week.
Awesome, Coach. Those are my questions for you. We'll now turn to the media with the first question coming from Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach Scott.
Good morning. How you doing, James?
Pretty good, sir. I hope you and everybody on the Hill are well. Can you talk about your first Howard homecoming, what that experience was like? I know you were locked in focusing on X's and O's, but just talk a little bit about the symbolic nature of that particular event.
Obviously, it's a big deal around here, and one that garners a lot of pride, not only just in our current student athletes, but former student athletes, alumni. And it was a much scaled down version of typically what everybody's been accustomed to and used to around here. And one of the things that we had already had and was fortunate enough to have was that Friday night atmosphere that we were able to have prior to the Morgan State game, prior to homecoming, which kind of had put it in the same frame of mind as far as the setting goes, as far as the attendance in the game. I think it's allowed for us to have 2 really well-attended home games here. And, even in defeat this week, I think we still gave our fans and students, something to be excited about as far as coming and watching football on the Hill. But nonetheless, it was a terrific atmosphere and experience, for our young people and for us. We're actually looking forward to hopefully next year homecoming being what it truly needs to be and should be around here.
Coach, MEAC football, 3 weeks left, the 1 week one game at a time mentality. Just talk a little bit about moving forward, and it's all about the Bison.
Yeah, just, you have to have the ability to move forward. And then honestly, that's why we set out the program up the way that we do. Some people take Sunday off. I don't believe in letting, positive or negative, letting the thing bleed out another 48 hours. Let's get right to it on Sunday afternoon. Let's watch it. Let's get out on the practice. Let's flush it out of our system, good or bad. Like I say, even with a win, you want to be able to handle it with the same mindset and mentality. That way, when we kick off on Monday with an academic day. I like to refer to it as guys put your book bags on and go be a normal student for a day, recovery, treatment, and those type of things to create that balance that's needed. But then when we come back, on Tuesday on our work day, everything's moving forward. We flushed it out of our system. We're on to the next deal. So it's some mental philosophy behind that too as well. But it is MEAC play. You're in conference play. You can't spend a whole lot of time, treading in mud, and you got to be ready to move on because this is I think, in my opinion, a really, really, really good Del State football team.
Good luck versus the Hornets.
Thank you.
The Yard HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? Just 1 second.
I'm doing wonderful. To kind of piggyback off of one of the questions that James just had for you, this has kind of been a continuation of a season of firsts for you this year.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, this is the first time I've ever seen a coach get hyped during a game. I noticed you during the fourth quarter where you were waving the fans on, trying to get them enthused during the game. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's the whole thing. It's a culmination of it all. It's not just the team. It's just not the young guys out there playing. It's the fans. It's the band. It's the cheerleaders. It's everybody that's there as a spectator. We want to create a game environment where everybody understands when are those critical moments in the game that we need everybody in the game. Not just the players. And we had just picked up a boatload of momentum really quick. You saw the momentum swing really fast in the game. And that's what football is, especially when you're playing in conference play. It's a game of momentum. And we had just found a way to possess the momentum of the game and needed everybody to kind of get back into it with us. I know, they appreciate the fact that they were swinging and standing there with us when we were down 28-3 or whatever it was. And then we came, rolling back and made it a one-score game there with plenty of time left in the fourth. And, it was just a kind of a reawakening and, hey, everybody, let's all get back into this thing and let's all get going. Because it was definitely at that point against a really good football team going to take all of us.
And one quick other point, you touched on this as well. I did notice something statistically in terms of your play in the first half and second half ever since the Maryland game. You guys do seem to play a little bit better and tend to put up more points in the second half. 89 points in the second half as opposed to 39 in the first half since that game. Yep. Is it more so a philosophy change or play calling that needs to be adjusted a little bit in the first half in order for you to get that desired play in the first half that you just talked about?
I think that's a great observation, by you, man. That's really good stats. It's really good work. I like it, my man. I think it's.
I mean, you could bring people on the staff for stats to be a stat guy for you if you need it.
Awesome. I'm just looking down here at my right hand paper. You nailed it all. You said it all right there. So obviously you're right on top of it, which is a great thing. I love vested questions. I love it. I think you hit it on the head. It's a combination of kind of it all. And when you have a really young football team that's kind of still trying to figure it all out and kind of kind of get into the groove of it all, I think you have those type of things happen. And it's also been, some things that didn't help us was, even in that game, you have two drives that are going into the red zone. You got points and you turn the ball over. I mean, you capitalize on those two opportunities, and it's a totally different game all the way down the stretch. So I think it's, some of the things you got to look at it and go, man, just, the common thread of being young shows up at certain times. And then when it's just like, hey, look, all we can do is now is go play as hard as we can, as long as we can, to see what happens. And we need to have that same mentality for 4 quarters, not just when we're behind. And, you're playing with, how can I say it, less anxiety and just more just playing football. We need to be able to do that from start to finish instead of just when we feel like our backs are against the wall.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach. Good luck this week.
Jay, thank you.
Dr. Cabell.
Yes, good morning, Coach Scott.
Good morning. How you doing, Doc?
I'm doing pretty good. I wanted to ask you about your running game, particularly 2 of your running backs, even more so the one out of Houston. You have young running backs, number 22, Jared Hunter, the freshman, 5'10", 187 pounds. Played well that game, 13, 86 yards. And then the sophomore, number 37, went 9 for 89 out of Houston, Texas. Tell me a little bit about the guys and how effective you are running the ball.
I think the beautiful thing about those 2 guys, they're both, like you said, young. This is both of their really taste of really playing college football. I think they're finding themselves out, finding out what their abilities are and those type of things, and learning how to play to their strengths in those things, because they're 2 very different backs. they're not the same style of back, which I think is really good for us. And then how we can use guys in certain situations, personnel wise, that we can put those guys in that plays into their strengths. And I think whenever you have a kind of a two-headed sword like that, you really like the balance that each one of them brings, because it brings a little bit of something different, which adds a little spice to the offense. So both are very, very talented young players that are just going to continue to develop and get better as we continue to go game by game. But I think what you saw was just kind of a little bit of a shift in philosophy from Norfolk State, where they were, heavy stop the run. They came out and they were giving us some really good run looks and different things like that, based on trying to stop some of our pass game and different things like that. And we were able to find those when we needed to, and kind of give us a chance to get back into the game and add some balance to what we did offensively. So, really excited about those two young backs.
Thank you for that. I want to follow that theme in terms of rushing schematically, as you talked about opportunities, how they switch up game to game. But your next opponent is Delaware State. They seem to be a little bit stout against the run. They did held South Carolina 27. I know each game is independent of itself, but talk about what you've seen on film and how you may want to attack them, at least from an offensive perspective.
I think, when you look at what they do it, and they do it very well. A lot goes into that from a philosophy standpoint. You turn on the tape and then they are what they are. But when people do what they do and they do it very well, that brings on another whole element of preparation and what you have to do, because they've kind of seen it all. They've seen what people have tried to do to them week by week, kind of knowing what they do, and they've always had. And so when you like that, you have answers. When people try to do X, you already have an answer to that, because you're so fundamentally built from that standpoint, and you're not always guessing and doing a lot of different things schematically. No, this is what we do, and we have the answers within it. So, when you do that, what you do is you take the football game and you make it one of physicality. It's going to come down to the matchups. It's going to be a very physical game. You're going to have to, bite down on your mouthpiece a little hard, buckle up a little tighter, and be ready to go make it 4 quarters of physical football, because that's what it's going to be with this football team.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to the matchup, and certainly we'll be tuned in based on how you broke that down. Have a good one and good luck this weekend.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us today, Coach Scott, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. This Saturday, the Bison will travel to Dover, Delaware to take on Delaware State. Kickoff is slated for 2 p.m. at Alumni Stadium. The game will be broadcast live on the MEAC digital network on ESPN+. Up next, we have head coach Trey Oliver from North Carolina Central. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning, Karen. How are you doing?
Doing good. All right, Coach. The Eagles opened up conference play with the win over Morgan State. Talk about that outing for me.
Yeah, we went up to Baltimore and played Morgan for their homecoming. I thought, we talked all week about getting off to a fast start, and unfortunately, that didn't happen. I thought we came out flat. We gave up a score in the opening drive, then had an interception next drive, and we only had four possessions in the first half, which is really low. And we knew they were going to try to control the clock and run the football, but came out in the second half. I thought our coaches did a really good job with some adjustments at halftime. And, our playmakers made some plays in the second half. I thought our defense stepped up, and some of those turnovers, we held them some field goals. But for the most part, we played a little bit better this week, and we were lucky to get out there with the win.
Awesome. You got good production from quarterback Davius Richard, who threw for 242 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then from Noah Rainbow Douglas, who led the defense with 10 solo tackles. Talk about their performances.
Right. Well, Davis, I thought the O-line, it starts up front, and I thought they did a better job of protecting him and keeping the pocket clean for him. And like I said, our playmakers, and I've been, talking about them all year, they finally stepped up, though. I thought our tight ends made some big catches. Our running backs ran the ball well, and we had a bunch of receivers that made some big catches for us. So we spread the ball around on offense, and guys made plays, and I was excited to see that. Defensively, Noah Rainbow Douglas, he did have an outstanding game, and Jawan Hudson, corner for us, he played really well also. But we're getting better slowly but surely. We're seeing a little bit of improvement here, but day by day.
All right, and then you all host South Carolina State this Saturday. What kind of matchup can we expect?
Buddy Pugh. It's going to be a physical ball game. That, we have to, of course, stop the run, and it's going to be a knockdown, drag out. And they're big and physical up front. Their offensive line, which they always are. The quarterback has improved so much. I think like the last 3 or 4 weeks. He has a strong arm and he's athletic, but I think he's a lot more accurate, and he's really coming to his own the last 3 or 4 weeks. And they have about 3 or 4 receivers that can fly on the perimeter. And defensively, that's South Carolina State. They always gonna hang their hat on their defense, and they're active up front, and their linebackers are lean and can run. So we'll have our hands full this week.
All right, well, good luck. Those are the questions I have for you. Our first media question comes from Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach Oliver.
Good morning. How you doing, James?
Pretty good, sir. Nice victory in Baltimore. Can you break down that second half a little bit where you guys shifted gears? Defense was on point, and the ball was moving, and you guys were scoring.
Right. I went into halftime. I told the guys, listen, we only had 4 possessions. Okay, so we're gonna have to score on every possession coming out in the second half. That's a heck of a statement to say, for a team that hasn't been scoring a lot of points. But we came out in the second half, and I think our first drive we punted, but then we scored 3 straight touchdowns. So it was good to see that, and the guys answered the bell. I mean, we had to stop their run defense, so our defense stepped up, and I thought we flew around and played hard. It's still some things that we had to clean up. We gave away too many yards rushing to that team, but I was pleased to see our effort. Our fans came out and showed up. It started raining, and our people hung in there. So we appreciate the support from our fans. And, like I said, we were fortunate to come out with the win.
Coach Oliver, we know each game in the MEAC stands alone. It's a different experience. Is there any way you can use your second half momentum from Baltimore when you see the Bulldogs on Saturday? Definitely.
And I mean, it just shows you, like, we have playmakers. Those guys have to step up and make plays. And, we haven't done that, really all season since, I guess, probably the first game or so. But, when guys are open, we have to get the ball to them, and the guys have to catch the football. And the coaches are putting the guys in good position. And, I think we just played Saturday. And the guys, wasn't any pressure on us. They just played. But they see on film that there's plays out there to be made. And I think it will definitely carry over to, South Carolina State game.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Thank you.
Dr. Cavill.
Coach Oliver, how you doing this morning?
I'm well, Doc. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Appreciate it. Great big victory this weekend, taking down the homecoming. Always tough to be on the road. Wanted to ask you about some of these young guns, the young players that you have over there that just seem to be getting it done. Always fascinating as you coach up young players and how you get them to get in, especially in conference play. You have Andrew Smith, number 85, the wide receiver freshman, getting some big plays in there, getting it done on the season. He's able to get deep, long when he does make the plays, 19.2 average a season. And then young guns, running backs, you got Latrell Collier, the sophomore there, getting it done. I just wanted to talk about some of these guys and your thought about how they're progressing through the program.
I mean, I think our young guys are extremely talented, and you don't want to keep talking about how young you are because people think you're using that as an excuse. But I'm just excited, that we have all these, freshmen and sophomores that I think are extremely talented. But you have Andrew Smith, you have Devin Smith, like you said, Collier, and Totten went down the second play of the game. And then, Freeman went down as well. So, we were down, 2 backs early in the game. So, but we have a stable full of running backs. And the same thing at the receiver position. E.J. Hicks, one of our returners, one of our vets, broke his collarbone against Marshall. So that was a scene that we were, relying on. But when he went down, like we said, the next man has to step up. and Andrew Smith. And I mean, that catch he had was a heck of a catch Saturday.
Yes, sir.
But all those guys, like I said, we're explosive, and guys have to start making some plays, and you're seeing that now.
No doubt about it. Let's transition as you get into South Carolina State. You host them. You said Buddy Pugh, a long legend in terms of what he's getting done. He's going to come in, have his team prepared to play, and they seem like they're turning on as well. But wanted to talk about your defense against them from an offensive perspective. We're used to South Carolina State usually running the ball, but now they seem to be a little more pass. How important is for you all to find a way to get off the field on third down? They haven't been quite as efficient as I'm sure they would want to be. I think they were like 3 for 14 last game. They still got it done, but want to look at that side of the ball, if you would, and tell me what your thoughts are there.
Well, they're throwing it a little bit more now, but everything starts from, you have to stop the run. Mm-hmm. And they're throwing it a little bit more, and I think that's because they have a quarterback that can, deliver the ball. But you have to stop the run, and I think that as far as third down, you have to win first down. You can't give up 5 and 6 yards on first down and let them stay above, from the chains, and then give them a 3rd and 2, things of that nature. So if we win first down and you can get them into a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 type down and distance, now you have a chance to get off the field. But you can't give, South Carolina State with that offensive line and, those guys they have, two-way go as far as being able to run the ball or throw the ball on third down. But, Buddy Pugh's going to have them ready to roll. I do know that.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. Coach Oliver, thanks for your time. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Mr. Thomas Grant.
Yes, good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Mr. Grant.
Yes, sir. How much was Saturday also sort of a double bonus, not only being able to open with conference play with a win, but also snapping a losing streak?
Oh, that was a must-win game for us. I mean, it's to lose 3 in a row, that's rough. That's rough, and it's rough on the players. It's rough on the coaches. It's just rough. And our guys never wavered. I think that we had an outstanding attitude, and the guys really worked hard every day of practice. They weren't down and out, and we were still practicing hard, and the guys didn't drop their head. So I was very pleased to see us come out and get the win. But that was a much needed victory, and we had to win that one. We had to.
Well, going into this Saturday's game, how much then is the confidence level really is it at a season high at this point?
I wouldn't say a season high. We expect to win. We just would have come up short, a couple of games this year. But I think again the guys see that we're improving and getting better. But Morgan is gone. That's over and done with. Now we have to worry about this week and going 1-0 this week against a very good South Carolina State team.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Mr. Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Oliver, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ty. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Coach. I want to go back to some things that Dr. Cavill talked about in terms of the running game. When you looked at South Carolina State this past weekend, they had no success running the ball. They had 27 rushes, 27 yards. That's like 1 yard per carry average. So when you look at the film, will you concentrate a little bit more on what Delaware State did against them or what South Carolina State was not doing in terms of trying to run the ball?
Hey, look, Delaware State's defensive line is extremely good. They're very good. Their defense is very good. We can, and they do a lot of good things defensively. So, they did struggle this past week running the ball, but I know that, you have to be able to run the ball to win games. So I don't think they're going to abandon the run. They'll probably work to get some kinks ironed out. But, we have to worry about what we do schematically and with our technique and fundamentals. We're not going to try to, change what we do and adopt Delaware State's defensive philosophy. We're going to try to do what we do and do it well. And if we can make them one-dimensional and make them throw the ball every down, that'd be great. I don't think they can beat us, chunking around the yard every down.
Last week you talked about, trying to get that 3-game losing streak stopped. And what was the mood in the locker room afterward in terms of getting that streak stopped?
The guys were excited, but it wasn't like, we won a Super Bowl. Like I said, we expect to win, and we prepare to win, and the guys expect to win. And when we won the game Saturday, they were excited because it was a win, but at the same time, it was just, one game, so got showered up, got a post-game meal, got on the bus and watched the film on the bus and got ready for South Carolina State. But, it wasn't like, folks were dumping Gatorade buckets on coaches and, we didn't do all that. Good job, guys. And we're going to have to get some things corrected and get ready for South Carolina State.
Well, all of us have a lot of respect for Coach Pugh. And on this call, we always talk about Coach Pugh. If you could use one word to describe Coach Pugh and his coaching over the years, what word would that be?
Oh, I don't know if I can do it in one word. I'd say, physical. I'd say competitive. I don't know. I mean, I talked to him and they from what he's done and everybody has their struggles, but as much success as he's had there, as many guys he put into the National Football League. And it's, when you see him develop guys, like when you see Darius Leonard come in there, probably about 190 pounds, 185 pounds as a freshman. And then the way they develop kids like that into, one of the best linebackers in the National Football League. And I mean, he's just done it year after year. And I've known Coach for a long time and for years. And from Will Ford to, I can't call the names that we had through there, but he's just a legend, man. And I hope that I can have, half the success he's had.
Appreciate it, man. And we'll just keep it at legend.
Legend. There we go. The GOAT.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for your time today. Good luck this weekend, and we will see you next week.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. The North Carolina Central Eagles host the Bulldogs of South Carolina State on Saturday. Kickoff is scheduled for 2 p.m. and the game will be broadcast live on the MEAC Digital Network on ESPN+. Up next, we have Rod Milstead of Delaware State. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. All right, Coach. South Carolina State came in and spoiled your homecoming. Recap the game for us from your perspective.
Two evenly matched football teams played hard, and like I said earlier in the week, it was going to come down to the team that made the fewest mistakes, and penalties killed us. I mean, just absolutely killed us. First drive, we break a long run, and it gets called back. 40 yards, some run, it gets called back. We have a kickoff return down to the 7-yard line, it gets called back. So penalties, the one thing that really destroyed us this weekend. Hard fought football game. Their defense is very, very tough. We couldn't get the ball in the end zone, which was surprising to me. So we got to do some things offensively to assure that we can get the ball in the end zone. Our special team stepped up. I had a punt return for a touchdown, and we're still in the game. Our defense played lights out, just played lights out, really shut down the run, and had some miscues in the defensive backfield to, I think it was 2 or 3 explosive plays that really were the highlights of their offense. But all in all, we thought we had a good game plan for them, but it appears to me that Buddy Pugh is just my Achilles heel, I imagine.
All right, Coach, despite Saturday's score, what were some of the bright spots in the team's performance?
Our team never gave up. They're fighters. This is a good group of young guys. Very proud of them. Disappointed in the mistakes and the penalties, but those are things that are correctable. Our kids were not going out to intentionally try to make penalties. They were going out and playing their hearts out. They wanted to win homecoming. They wanted to win for their coach, being an alumnus of Delaware State. And so, yeah, we're disappointed, but, that's one football game, and we really wanted to win, and unfortunately we didn't. So we got to look through the windshield and stop looking at the rearview mirror and get prepared for Howard.
All right, Coach, speaking of Howard, they come to town on Saturday. What is the scouting report on them?
They're a much more improved football team than the spring. In the spring, we've got to have the opportunity to play them twice, and was very fortunate. We'll come out the game with wins on both occasions. But they're a different football team now. They have more weapons. Their quarterback is playing well. They're putting the ball in the air. They have a two-headed monster in the running game. So, and then their defense is playing much more stout. So we have to come up with a good game plan for Howard and be prepared. Right now, they're on a roll despite them losing last weekend. They're playing well. They're playing. Coach got his football team playing at a high level. So we have a lot of work to do this week to stay focused on the task at hand on Saturday.
All right, thank you, Coach. Those are my questions for you. We will now turn to the media, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Mr. Hill.
When you look at the season going forward, you have 4 games remaining, 2 games at home, 2 games on the road. Can you talk a little bit about going into the Howard game and what that can do for you? Everybody wants to get a W, but just talk a little bit about the mentality going into the Howard contest.
Well, it's MEAC play, and last week we got disappointed at home. And it's hurting. I mean, it hurts. Our guys we're still feeling the effects of it yesterday when we had our team meeting. And it's something that it's going to sting for a while, but we'll get over it today and be ready to practice tomorrow and prepare for Howard. It's going to be a dogfight. The first game we played them last year was a very, very tough football game, tough fought battle football game. And it was a game that came down to who made the fewest mistakes. And unfortunately, we were able to capitalize on some of the things that Howard did. And the second game, Howard had a lot of injuries, when we played them. And we were kind of rolling at the time and practicing well and playing well. And I was able to have some big plays. And Trey Gross had a great day that day in DC. And we were able to get some things done and running the football as well, which has really been our biggest offensive weapon has been our running game. So it's going to be Delaware State football. It's going to be a hard fought game. We will be prepared to play. And I'm quite sure Howard's going to come in here, especially after the spring situation, and want to revenge that, as they should.
Coach, when you play a team several times and each team has a good look at each other, what is that like personally? And just talk a little bit about that part of it.
Well, that's when you find out if you can coach or not. Okay, when you play against somebody that knows what you're doing, I mean, there's no mystery. Everyone watches film, and you get a chance to see it, as many times as you'd like on how to scheme and how to game plan for the other team. We've seen Howard now twice, and this will be our 3rd time. The same thing that we had against South Carolina State. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get it done 3 times in a row, which is disheartening. Although our loss ratio was real small, it was still a loss regardless. We weren't, and I'm quite sure Howard's feeling the same way we felt when we played South Carolina State. You want to get that win, you want to get that monkey off your back, and we want to make sure that we have a say in the MEAC race. And so this game is really crucial to us. If you want to have a say at the end or be considered in the hunt at the end, if there's a chance that South Carolina State may drop one. So this is a big game for us. The last 4 are huge games for Delaware State. You got to win them all if you want to have a say or be considered that MEAC champion.
Thank you, sir. Good luck going forward.
Thank you.
Dr. Cavill.
Thank you. Coach Milstead, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking the follow-up there. I wanted to talk about your defense. They're so attacking and physical, it seems like, at the point of attack, if I'm able to see this correctly. And I know usually when you're able to hold teams down like that in terms of their total offensive output, it's a team approach with everybody seeming to be in the right position and attacking the football. But could you talk about some of the leaders, whether it's physically in terms of their action on the field or just some of their play independently? What are some of the guys that are help pushing this defense to do what it's able to do thus far this season?
Well, it starts from the philosophy of Coach Kramer, our defensive coordinator. He came in 2019, and really the end of 2019, and we made a change at defensive coordinator. And he had those guys in 4 days really prepared to play. We went down to Central, and it was a dogfight. It came down to we scored, and then they ran the kickoff back, and we still had a chance to win it at the end. And he got those guys believing in his defensive philosophy, which was a change up from when Coach James had it. And those guys are pushing his agenda every day in practice. The defensive unit is the heart and soul of our football team. That's where most of our leadership is on the defensive side of our football team. You got a defense that's driven by not just one guy, but a host of guys. You look at the D line, and you got Isaiah Williams. You look at the linebacking crew, and you got Mario Goins. You got Antoine Kinsey, and then you got the true leader, Kamari Jackson, who's he's the quiet assassin. You put him on field, and 34 is lighting people up everywhere. And then you got our defensive backs. You got Romel Harris, who's a sophomore, Sayus Guthrie, who's a freshman. And then you got the grad junior, Charles Peeler, #1 on the outside. And then you got the preseason MEAC guy, Jawan Grange, on the other outside. Those guys are just loaded with talent, not only up front, but in our linebacking core and our defensive backs. And they're playing well together. They trust one another. They know that the guys in front of them or the guys they're playing with are going to be where they're supposed to be. And the biggest thing is they hold each other accountable. To watch it in practice is truly amazing. They really make our offense struggle a lot of the times because of the physicalness of practice. What you guys see on Saturday, what we see every single day, they bring it. They don't take any days off. They're playing at a high level. And the biggest thing right now is, like I told our offense, we have to match that intensity. We have to match that camaraderie. We got to match that brotherhood and be able to trust one another. And when we get to that point, then we'll have a championship football team.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend. I look forward to the matchup.
Thank you.
Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Milstead, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Coach Scott talked about it earlier that his team needs to get out to faster starts. They've only scored 10 points in the first quarter all season. Now, on the flip side, your team, Howard scored 69 points in the fourth quarter against 41 for their opponents during the season. In the second half all season, Delaware State scored only 27 points. So how concerning is that? And what are you doing to try to address that situation?
Well, the biggest thing, we want to play 4 quarters of football. And that's something that's been offensively something that has been a constant nemesis for us, is that our offensive production hasn't been where we want it to be. We had to come back against Wagner from a slow start, 20-7 at halftime, and come back and win. And Bowie, it was much more consistent, but it hasn't been consistent throughout the games that we've played. So as a coach, that's a question that I asked yesterday. How do we come out the locker room ready to go? And I got to do a better job. I got to get a better job in preparing our guys not to wait. We're not a team that likes to play from behind. We got to be a team that's a front runner up front, and then make the other team do some things that are not common in their practice to try to catch up. We seem like we have much more success when we play that way. So I take it on the chin. It's a Rod Milstead problem. I got to find a way to get our guys prepared and ready to go out the locker room.
And Coach, this might be a general question, but how difficult is it to put equal parts on the field? You got a good defense, but trying to find that matching offense and, of course, special teams.
Well, right now, I think that they always say, and I hate it because I'm an offensive guy, but they always say defense will win championships. Okay. And if you got a good defense, you got a chance to be in the hunt. So we feel like we have a good defense. Our offense knows we have a good defense. They have been the reason we have been in every game that we played this year. Has been because of our defense. Our offensive guys are feeling bad about it. I mean, this is the first time this season we've gotten blanked without getting the ball in the end zone, and it doesn't feel good offensively. So I know this week will be a different week of practice. Schematically, we're going to have to do some things differently to put the ball in our playmakers' hands early so they can do what they do with it. And we're looking forward to it. You know, we do have a decent running game. Savion Wilkinson is having a very good year as a freshman, and he's continued to be the guy that we rely on. But we got other guys, Michael Chris Ike and Wade Eames in our backfield as well, that we're going to have to, you know, divvy up the load a little bit to give us some much more excitement. And then we have to throw the ball. You know, we do rely on the run a lot. Everyone knows that. We're going to, you know, their head coach is the offensive line guy. So, of course, you know, I'm going to ground and pound you and then try to hit you over the top. So we're going to do some things that probably outside of what we've done in the past. We got 4 weeks, and every week to us is our Super Bowl. So we're going to do everything we can to win the football game and put the ball in our playmakers' hands.
All right, Coach. Thank you a lot, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Awesome, Coach. Thanks for joining us today. We will see you next week, and have a good game this weekend.
Thank you.
Welcome. Delaware State will host Howard this Saturday in Dover. Kickoff will be at 2 p.m. at Alumni Stadium. The game will be broadcast live on the MEAC Digital Network on ESPN+. Up next, we have Dawson Odoms, head coach at Norfolk State University. Good morning, Coach Odoms. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing? Doing great. Doing great.
I'm well. All right, Coach. Saturday's win over Howard extends the Spartans' win streak to 5 games. What were the keys to winning this past Saturday?
Well, we talked about it. They were the least penalized team going into that game in our conference, and Coach Scott's got a tremendous football program up there. Is doing an outstanding job. We knew it was going to be competitive. It was homecoming, and what an atmosphere. It was a great crowd, and just a fantastic football game. I thought if we could win the turnover battle and the penalty battle and win the effort battle, I thought we'll have a great chance at winning the football game. And penalties were 3 to 4, which is a testament to both teams' discipline. And turnover was battle, I think it was 2 to 1. We were able to win the turnover battle, lost the penalty battle by 1, and we played with unbelievable effort. And I think when you do that, you give yourself a chance to win football games.
Sure do. Juwan Carter continues to put up record-breaking performances. How pleased are you with his production week in and week out?
I mean, he drives the offense. He does an outstanding job. We have playmakers around him. He just have to take the next step and just understanding that his players around him. You don't have to be a hero. Let the game come to him, take what the defense gives him, and everything else will take care of itself. We're very talented on that side of the ball. We can run the ball, we can throw the ball, and we're very dynamic. We're versatile in what we do, and we personnel, we move people around, and we're just a solid football team offensively that we can put the ball in the end zone. And it starts with him, his decision-making as it continues to get better. We're going to continue to get better. We still haven't played our best football, and we're getting better. We're playing in spurts. I think if you watch us play offensively, you see us sometime where you say, man, they pretty good. They pretty unstoppable. Then you see us sometime and you say, well, things not going very well. But if we can continue to just get better, and that's our challenge every week, just focus on the process, we're gaining on it. And as we do, I really think it starts with him as he continues to get better. So with his offense.
Awesome. Morgan State comes to Dick Price Stadium on Saturday. What kind of game are you expecting?
Well, physical football game. I think everybody understands how to play football in the MEAC and what that kind of football is all about. We understand that. We're just really trying to get better each and every day, each and every week, get better. And we're going to play against a football team that's very physical. I mean, they run the ball, they can throw the ball defensively, they're going to hit you in the mouth. And that's what it's all about. It's about just getting better every day and knowing that you got to get physical and be physical if you want to win football games in the MEAC.
Awesome, Coach. Those are my questions for you. We'll now turn to the media with the first question coming from Mr. Brian Smith.
Coach, good morning. You've won 5 straight. Obviously, you say you haven't played a complete game yet as a team, but with winning 5 in a row, is there ever a concern on your end about complacency? Because everything is kind of falling into place. You're winning, but complacency. You can talk to kids all you want to at times. Mentally, they go, "Oh, we got it, Coach." How do you prevent that?
We've won 5 in a row, and I think it's because of how we do things. And it's all new to them. We're a new staff, and each week it's going to be some opportunities for us to teach and learn and grow. And that's what I believe. I believe every week's going to be different. When you win, it's always going to be some challenges. When you haven't won and you start winning, you always got to block out the noise and just focus on the next week, focus on the next day. Today is Monday. We'll just focus on how we can be the best this Monday. We can't worry about our past. Let's correct our mistakes. Let's move forward and go through it like laser light focus. It's a process. Chop wood, carry water. We say it all the time. You got to fall in love with the process, and we're not result driven. We believe if we do the necessary things that are placed in front of us, then we'll have a chance to be successful. And this week has its new challenges. We'll put a plan in place. And if our guys follow that process, we believe on Saturday we'll have a chance to be successful.
All right, Mr. James Hill.
Morning, Coach.
Morning, Mr. Hill.
Your football program continues to show improve. Each week we look up and we see the Spartans marching. You know about it in the SWAC and in HBCU football, but can you just talk a little bit about the process, if you will, and just the fact that championships, the actual game is not won this time of season, but the process of building a champion continues every Saturday and every day. Can you just talk about that movement, if you will?
Well, yes, it's definitely our program, and we believe that it's the community, alumni, friends, family, and we just have a part that we play in it. This program was here before me and to be here after me. Our process is driven by, first of all, having a good understanding of what that's like and what that's about. We believe that it takes discipline, and 4 penalties, I think that's our least output of the season. Tells us that midway through the season, we're getting better in that department. Then you got to come back and start that week off the right way. Everybody got to be in attendance at weights. Everybody got to make their study hall hours. It's the same every week, and not every week is going to be great, but you got to gain on it. And when guys are not doing what they're supposed to, then it's got to be consequences in place. And some of those consequences are tough penalties. But this process is not something that yield results, immediately. And the results that we're seeing is winning, but the process is about winning in every aspect of the community that makes up our program. And that's academics, that's going to the cafeteria, that's taking your hat off in building, that's wearing your pants around your waist, that's tucking your shirts in at practice, that's covering your back flaps, that's dressing the light, that's being the light, that's one sound, one band. And if we can do that and follow that process and fall in love with it, that means when you fall in love with it, you're able to tell your teammates what they're doing wrong. The accountability raises. Everything about what we're doing, everybody take account of. And when we get to that page, the team takes account of it, the university takes account of it, the community takes account of it. Then I think you'll be able to see something special. But that process starts with us. That's coaches, that's players, that's managers, that's trainers, that's everybody that's in it, got a role to play. And if they take that role and be great in it, then we think we got a chance to be successful.
Coach, Morgan State University is a dangerous football team in terms of a team that's hungry and they're in search of. Saturday at Price Stadium, when you look over, the Bears will be there. Can you just talk about what you envision this weekend and again, going into Saturday?
Yes, I think you got to look back at 2007. I think Norfolk State football program was in the same predicament in 2007. They had won, was in position, had a good streak going, 5 in a row. Howard had lost 6 in a row. Howard comes in, beat them at home. They go to Dale, lose to Dale. Next thing you know, they're runner-ups. So we know what history says. And I really believe history repeats itself when you don't know your history. But we understand. We understand that a football team is coming in here to win a football game. And we're preparing ourselves to win a football game. We're at home. We played well at home. And we hope we can play even better. And if we do that, everything else will take care of itself. But we got to get our football team prepared. We got to block out the noise, focus on today, and let's be the best we can be on Monday, and we'll strive to see if we can be even better on Tuesday.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck with that program and that success that you're building.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Dr. Cavell.
Good morning, Coach O.
Morning, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Enjoying this season, enjoying the dynamic football you're playing over there in Norfolk State, and appreciate what you're bringing to the program there. I wanted to ask you about some of your senior leadership. I know you are doing it as a team, particularly offensively, and the defense is coming along. I want to focus a little bit on the offense and some of the players outside of the quarterback play is dynamic, obviously, but you're a senior. Justin Smith, 6'2", 180 pounds out of Richmond, Virginia. And then your running back, Mr. Brent, Cameron Brent, senior, 5'8", 200 pounds out of Atlanta, Georgia, really getting some good things and productive play. Tell me about not just their play on the field, which is obvious from the stats, but what they're able to do in the locker room. Are they voiceful leaders, or are they just the type to say, follow me and I'll take you there?
Well, both of those guys are quiet guys. Justin Smith, he leads by his work, and Cam is the same way. Their work ethic is something that speaks volumes of what they're doing. They're guys that they go about things the right way. They play hard. They play extremely hard, and they're talented individuals. They're senior guys, and what I try to always tell the seniors is that that clock's ticking.
Yes, sir.
So you got a choice, and you either got a chance to play and play very well and come back and taste victory, or you don't play very well and you might taste defeat. But at the end of the day, it's all about how do you want to go out? How do you want people to remember you? And because you're a senior and you're at the end of your eligibility, you have a chance to leave something and also a chance to start something. And that's all we talk about. And those guys take the bull by the horn. They practice the right way, they play the right way, and they're outstanding young men. And I only had them for a few months, but we recruited Cam Brent coming out when I was at my last place, and we didn't get him, but it's only fitting that I have a chance to be here, and it must have been in the good Lord's hand that I needed to be here, because it was something that I needed to give Cam Brent before he deposited his college days and went into the world to become a better citizen, a better father, and a better husband. So I'm happy to be in their lives for this short period of time, but they're fantastic young men, and they're doing an outstanding job for the Spartans.
Certainly appreciate that perspective and you sharing it. Good luck this weekend, Coach.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Brian Smith.
Coach, 7 games in now, can you assess how you're coaching right now from your view? How do you grade yourself right now? Is this going according to plan, or is it not quite where you want it to be?
I mean, winning is where we want to be. So I think we're finding a way to do that. Are we playing as good as we would like? Probably not. Are we finding a way to win football games? Yes. Is the culture being developed continuously? Yes. Are we dodging the injury bug? Yes. Are we staying COVID free? Yes. And are we getting ready to play every week to the best of our ability? Yes. Is it a lot of things that we can improve on? Yes. Are we where we want to be? No. But we chopping wood and carrying water to get there.
And Mr. Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach, good morning to you. I appreciate all the candid comments you give us. And you just said something again that, struck me earlier. I never heard that before. I mean, I've heard you say it before, but what does that mean? Chop wood carries water.
Well, it's a book that we go through as a team. A young man want to be a samurai archer so bad, but he want to skip some steps along the process into becoming a great samurai archer. And all the book does is teach you. It's written by Joshua Metcalf. It teaches you to fall in love with the process. And we're process driven, and it starts there. And you got to have a process, but everybody has a process. But Coca-Cola process, and I had a chance to work for that company, is to make sure that Coke is the #1 leading seller. They come up with all this other fancy stuff all they want, but at the end of the year, Coke is still the #1 seller. So in order for that process to work, everybody in that community has to fall in love with it. Everybody has to be on the same page. You can't go from the bottom and try to reach the top unless you have a process. But that process will only work if the people around you fall in love with it. Chop wood, carry water is the name of the book, because you had to chop wood because it wasn't no heat in the wintertime. And you had to carry water because there wasn't any running water. So until you can fall in love with that process, we can't be a successful village, because we know it's gonna get cold and we know we need water. So at the end of the day, guess what the Spartans got to do? Chop wood, carry water.
Man, I like that. That's good radio stuff. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Glad to be your morning entertainment.
Oh, thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend, and we will see you next Monday.
Behold, the green and gold.
The Norfolk State Spartans host the Bears of Morgan State on Saturday. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m. and the game will be broadcast live on the MEAC Digital Network on ESPN+. Up next, we have the guy who's already ready, Coach Buddy Pugh from South Carolina State. Good morning, Coach.
I'm just chopping wood and carrying water, Karen. How you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, baby. How you?
Good. All right, Coach. The Bulldogs have now won 3 games against Delaware State in the last 7 months. How was this third matchup for the Bulldogs?
Hard. When you get down to your fourth tailback, actually we were down to our third tailback, and you got hurt like about the fourth play of the game. And those big old hard guys, Delaware State's got up front. You know, they've now seen those little soft offensive linemen we got down here in Orangeburg about 3 or 4 times now here in the last several months. So they kind of know everybody by heart and know all the different kinds of moves and twicks and tweets and whatever you got between, you know, those two teams. So I'm glad I don't have to see Andre Kramer that defense anymore. Coastal, they might be glad they don't see Jonathan Saxton ours anymore either. So at this point, we just kind of see if we can move on and see if we can get to the next guy on our schedule.
Awesome, Coach. What will be the major focus in practice this week?
To try to see if we can run the football a little bit. You know, this is South Carolina State. We thought we could run the ball against somebody, but now this doesn't seem to be the case here. And you can't throw it around that much. You know what? Yeah, you can throw it around that much, but you're gonna get beat. And you know, that's got to change. So, you know, exactly how we do it, I don't know, but at some point or other, we got to figure this out.
All right, and Coach, up next for the Bulldogs is a date with North Carolina Central. How should the Bulldogs stack up against the Eagles?
Well, it'll be the usual dogs and Eagles. You know, fight like cats and dogs, I guess. And these guys are always, you know, one of our more competitive games. It's a tough game when you get a trade Oliver style defense to, you know, match up against our little polo guys that can't seem to move the ball very much. He's had you know, great success over the years against us, and you know, it'll be a tough football game. Hopefully we can find a way to you know, to maybe run the football a little bit, but I ain't quite figured that out yet. From looking at them on film, we hadn't figured it out yet. We'll see. He worried me last night all night about a piece of a little strip of film that he couldn't see. So I know they're working their butts off to try to figure out how to stop us. So we'll see.
All right, Coach, those are the questions I have for you. We'll now go to the media, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning, James. How are you this morning?
Pretty good, sir. You have 4 games remaining. 3 of those games are in conference. You'll see A&T out of conference, HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
But just talk a little bit about focusing on these last 3. And it starts again this weekend when you see the Eagles, as you say, from North Carolina Central.
Well, what else is there to do at this point? You know, we're at the point of our schedule where, you know, it's win or go home. And, you know, it's an opportunity for us to kind of hang in the race that way. So, yes, we want to try to win. And when you do, you know, they get bigger every week. So, you know, we are really, really locked in at this point to try to see if we can continue to get a little bit better every week, a little bit better every day, actually. So, you know, that's the mission. We've got a lot of young bodies running around here playing. And, you know, when you have a team as young as ours and that has played as much as ours has, this is, let's see, 4 games in the spring now and, you know, 7 games in the fall. We on game 12 right now, you know, for 21. And, you know, we've had a lot of football here. So we starting to get banged up a little bit. Hopefully we can keep our guys healthy for this next 4 weeks and continue to, you know, find some success.
Coach, when you turn on the TV on Sundays and you see Mr. Leonard playing and you walk past your trophy case and you see all those championships, what continues to drive you at this point to focus on the MEAC?
The joy of having the opportunity to be around our guys, around our coaches, around our players, to be around our university. You know, this is fun. You don't ever have to worry about me not being excited about coming to work every day. And not only me, anybody that's a part of this program, you know, better be excited about being here because, you know, that's all, you know, that you get an opportunity to, you know, to actually appreciate that way. So, you know, in a situation where you get this opportunity, that not very many people get a chance to do something that, you know, they've enjoyed, they want to do all their life. And, you know, this has been one of the kinds of opportunities that, you know, a lot of people would kill to have. So you better make sure that you cherish it and take care of it. And, you know, I'm sure that we do, I'm sure that I do, but, you know, I try to make sure that everybody else that's here also do enjoy it.
Coach, in closing, this time of the season, teams are jockeying for position to finish strong and earn W's. Just talk a little bit about the Bulldog way moving forward and trying to seal the deal, if you will.
Well, you know what? We don't talk about chopping wood and carrying water, but, you know, we do have a process in place. We call it our routine. We do things exactly the same. And we've been doing it for 20 years here. And, you know, sometimes, you know, when you do it for as long as we do, we don't talk about it as much as some other people do. But we do enjoy making sure that our guys know exactly what they do on Monday and where they go. You know, we don't try to hide the fact that we try to make sure, you know, that our routine is sound and solid and done through a lot of pride and testing and that kind of stuff. It's proven to be successful.
Thank you, sir. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Dr. Cavill.
Thank you. Good morning, Coach Pugh.
Good
How
morning,
you doing?
Dr. Cavill. How are you?
I'm doing well. Some of us tried to bury and put that dirt over the team, but South Carolina Bulldogs, as you always seem to have them, finding a way to come up, make big plays, and get it done.
Yeah.
Talk about how tough your defense played. Obviously, early we saw a lot of maturation on offense. You were able to put up some points, but this last game, your defense stood the test. Talk about them for a little bit.
We're starting to play a little bit better, a good bit better, actually. And, you know, I've got to take my hat off to our defensive staff. You know, they were pulling their hats out, they're pulling their hair out earlier in the year, trying to figure out exactly how to get us going. And, you know, they're starting to see some success on that side of the ball. So, you know, we're awfully proud of them. This team Saturday did not give up a touchdown. And, you know, that was highly unusual. This past spring, when we played Delaware the second time, we gave up 28 points to that same team, and they threw the ball all over the lot. And, you know, we were a good bit better this time around. So our defense is starting to come on, and I'm hoping that, you know, they'll continue to improve. We've got a couple guys that we've added to the mix that weren't a part this past spring, and those guys have seemed to, you know, give us a little bit of spark. So hopefully, you know, we can continue to get those guys involved and continue to keep them improving.
Wanted to come back to your point you made with the number of games you played in this calendar year. If you look at it like that, you know, you're up to game 11, 12, close to a full season, if you would. How do you work with that in terms of practice? Is there something you do differently in practice because of the number of games, or is it the same?
No, we practice pretty much the same, but now we occasionally will shorten things up a little bit. Our practice sessions might not be quite as long. We were generally a 22, 23 practice 22, 23 period practice kind of an outfit for most of the time that we've been here. And we've honed that down now to somewhere in the 17, 18 period range, which we go 5-minute periods in our practice breakdown. So, you know, you got to do some things to give yourself a chance to, you know, to recuperate, regenerate a little bit. And, you know, I've been talking to some of the coaches in the league. I don't know if that might be the reason for some of the injuries, you know, that we've had. We've had a good many injuries over the span of this entire season that way. And, you know, that could be an issue of sorts, you know, with, you know, some of the injuries we've had. But you know what? We've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed playing, you know, both the spring and the fall. We got some development done, and we've got some opportunities for some of our guys to play some last year and not actually have the outlay of that year of eligibility that they would have had ordinarily. So we've got a lot of guys that will have an opportunity to play maybe 5 or 6 years and maybe even have masters and that kind of stuff, which is a big deal, you know, when they get done. So to be able to go all the way through school that way gives a guy a big leg up in life that way. So hopefully we can take advantage of it in a way where our guys get a great education out of this deal.
Great point there, and I've seen that across the conferences. I'm glad that you've mentioned that, and we'll take that moving forward. Good luck this weekend, and thank you for your time, Coach.
Thanks, Doc. Appreciate you.
Mr. Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach, how you doing this morning?
Hey, Ty, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Coach. How much pressure does it put on Corey not to have a complimentary running game right now?
A bunch, a bunch. Puts a lot of pressure on me too. So at this point, we're trying to figure out exactly how to fix it. But now, you know, it's been a little bit of an issue here for a couple of weeks back. So we're gonna get it figured out. I think we will. At least I hope we will. Yeah.
Have you ever had a situation where you ran the ball 27 times and gained 1 yard per carry in all of your career?
No.
So in terms of your running backs, what is it with the running backs or your offensive line? What have you pinpointed that could be the reason for the lack of success there?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. And it's also got something to do with, believe it or not, Delaware State's defensive front's pretty good. And, you know, even when we were doing pretty good this past spring, we didn't have a bunch of success running against that crowd, but we were better. So at this point, we just got to figure out, you know, the combination of, you know, what we got to do to improve our offensive front. We actually had a good many injuries in the offensive line, and that's hurt. Then you got injuries in both the offensive line and the offensive backfield. So our leading rusher, Kendrell Flowers, didn't play. He was not even on the trip. Our next leading rusher now is out for the season, Alex James. We started Dante Anthony. Dante Anthony went down the third and fourth snap of the game. We ended up playing Jacory Benson. You know, that kind of deal is what kind of, you know, just the continuity of it all. It's just gotten to the point where we just so far down our depth chart now. We're going to play a freshman behind him. So we got a lot of guys out. And, you know, we're trying to figure out exactly. Hopefully we'll get some of them back this week. I think we'll get Kendrell back on Saturday, which will be a big infusion of talent back on that side of the ball.
What have you seen about North Carolina Central that's been a big difference since they had that 3-game losing streak? And what most impressed you, if you saw the game against Alcorn State, what most impressed you about the team back early in the season?
Well, the Alcorn, I thought they were really good during the time when they played Alcorn. And then, you know, they ran into a buzzsaw of sorts. First of all, you got to look at some of the people they played. They played some, you know, some pretty tough folk. You know, they played Marshall. You know, they played Tennessee Tech. You know, those guys are pretty good. And, you know, that North Carolina A&T team ain't bad either. So you get a chance to get some of your problem, not necessarily by how poorly you playing, but how you schedule. And, you know, we kind of had that issue ourselves a time or two. You know, when we playing, you know, we're not playing Virginia Lynchburg. You know, we playing Clemson. We're not playing some of the other folk. So it's a difference in what you're actually doing that way. And some of the scheduling, some of the success that our teams have, you know, our league is directly proportionate to the toughness of the schedule.
Coach, being that it's a 6-team conference schedule now, is it one of the tougher things that you've had to deal with in all your years of coaching?
You know, it is, but you know what? I kind of enjoy having the opportunity to play the out-of-conference games. It gives us a little diversity of scheduling. You don't necessarily play the same teams over and over again And, I like going, we went to New Mexico and played, out at Las Cruces or wherever the heck that was. And stayed in El Paso and got a chance to see the El Paso Chihuahuas or something like that play the night before. So we got to do some things that we ordinarily wouldn't have had a chance to do. And, the fact that we can play these games, gives us a chance to make a few bucks that way, and also gives us a chance to play some people who don't know the play. So I like the idea of not having so many conference games and having a little different schedule every year.
All right, well, Coach, good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Ty.
Coach, thank you for being with us. Good luck this weekend, and we will see you next Monday.
Thanks, Karen. You have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
South Carolina State will travel to Durham, North Carolina on Saturday to face the North Carolina Central Eagles. Kickoff will be at 2 p.m. and the game will be broadcast live on the MEAC Digital Network on ESPN+. Up next, we have Morgan State head coach Tyrone Wheatley. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Aaron. How are you?
Doing well. All right, Coach. Another tough game for the Bears this weekend against the Eagles. Recap the game for us from your perspective.
Well, I think our guys came out and really played hard in the very beginning, established a run. But then once again, the discipline bug bit us. We put ourselves in some very adverse situations. But, not to take North Carolina Central or anything away from them, they carried them out. Quarterback had a tremendous game, which he's been putting up numbers all year. We knew we couldn't allow him to escape and hurt us with his legs. We know he can throw the ball, but we didn't want to let him escape out and hurt us with his legs. He was able to convert on 3 third and really longs, right? Those are the ones that kind of hurt you. Our defensive backs kind of started peeking in the backfield to try and help him out, and they exploited that. And I just think we need to really, at the end of the day, grow up, and which we're doing. We were playing some teams in the MEAC, and I said this earlier, that are really good, that have done a great job of development, and they've progressed through the situation of that, and what I'm going through right now. They've kind of went through that storm, and they have their guys in order, and their guys are growing up. But that's no excuse. We still got to go out there. We got to put a football team on the field that's going to be disciplined, that's going to see a little, see a lot, and play the football game as is, and not give up those conversions and not put ourselves in the hole offensively.
All right. Talk about any bright spots on offense, defense, or special teams from
Well,
Saturday.
Special teams, when you talk about a bright spot, we was able to kick a field goal without getting one block. So that was something that we worked on. Many changes of people, right? So that was one bright spot. Next bright spot was defensively, in terms of rushing. We held them, but once again, the quarterback did a great job. And then on our end, we ran the ball. We were able to come out and run the ball, get a little physical with those guys and put some things up. My quarterback threw the ball pretty well. But, those bright spots are continuing getting brighter.
Good stuff. You all hit the road to take on Norfolk State on Saturday. What kind of game are you expecting?
Well, we're going to see this 3-headed monster he has there. Mr. Carter, Brent, and Smith. All electrifying guys. And kind of when we talk about the process of these guys being older and having grown through their growing pains, they're very mature, very dynamic, very poised under pressure. Nothing seems to rattle these guys. And what we're going to expect them coming into their home, they're going on a 5-game winning streak. They smell blood in the water, right? And it's their home. And knowing Coach Oldham, he's always trying to get his team to prepare even better than what they were. And it's going to be a physical game, but no mention words. This team is my team is hurt, but we're battle beaten, we're weathered, and we're going to go after them.
Awesome, Coach. Those are the questions I have for you. We'll turn to the media with the first question coming from Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Cliche time. If you keep knocking on the door, sooner or later that door is going to open. Can you just talk about continuing to put your stamp on this team? You guys will show up Saturday, you guys will line up, and you guys will play. Just talk about searching for that W.
Well, here's the deal, and one of the things we always talk about in our locker room and in our room, faith without works, right, is dead. And these young men are working their butts off, right? And so they're young. And, no one wants to hear about being young. No one wants to hear about the injury bug. But at the end of the day, we have to continue to work. We have to continue to work. And as I said before, yes, you're going to continue to knock. You're going to continue to knock. But at some point in time, excuse my French, you're just going to have to kick the damn door in. And I think that's right now, we have a young team that doesn't really understand how to impose their will. They're working, they're doing what we ask. But right now, I myself and the coaching staff can't get on that field and play for them. They're doing a great job of playing. But at some point in time, they have to learn how to just go out to impose their will. And I think that comes with time. And as we also say in Morgan right here, physicality is a lifestyle. It's not a choice. It's a lifestyle. And so at the end of the day, our guys are growing, and they're growing into that. A lot of these young men, their threshold, and I kind of accompany this to the rookie in the NFL. It's a 17-week season. And right now, these young men, they're starting to hit that rookie wall, because in college right now, you're getting ready for playoffs and all these other things. You're down the home stretch. But in the NFL, you look up and you're like, man, we got 10 more games left. You kind of hit that rookie wall. And some of our young men have hit that threshold, and they have to push through it. And coming next year, they will understand where that threshold is at, and they will be able to live and push through it. And then we will be able to impose our will on people. But as you say, knocking on that door, at some point in time, you got to stop knocking. Got to kick it in.
Coach, 4 games remaining on the season. 2 of those games are in the MEAC. Just talk about finishing strong, competing, working hard. Guys are earning education. And at the end of the day, it can be a beautiful thing in terms of the process of college life.
Yes, and it goes back to the threshold of what we talked about. A lot of these young men, first year in college, then you really can't count COVID because, they were the only ones on campus. And then, majority of the classes was online, right? So now this is the first time that they're really taking a full boat of classes, dealing with, the process of people being on campus, and also the full regimen of a practice. But it's a beautiful thing, though, right? It's a beautiful thing. In the process of burning out the confusion, we discover enlightenment, right? And what that means, my grandmother used to say that all the time. And what that means is, as you're going through this thing of a lot of confusion, you get a chance to just sift through it, and you get to see what's really important. There are no more quote unquote sacrifices. It becomes now, what am I committed to, right? I think a lot of the confusion, like you talked about, starts saying is, class, football, all these other things. But now you just start really figure out, what am I committed to? And you have to be football, have to be class, and it has to be your faith, right? Your religion. And these young men right now, they're growing, and I love the process of where they're growing, and I love what they're going through.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck going forward.
Thank you.
Awesome. Do we have any more questions for Coach Wheatley? We do, Mr. Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Wheatley, good morning to you.
How you doing, Mr. Miller?
I'm good, Coach. I want to ask you about a couple of players individually, because this time of year, with the Black College Football Hall of Fame Committee, we start to look at players who may be eligible for individual honors. So a couple of guys I want to ask you about on your defense. First of all, Lawrence Richardson, very good stat line on him in terms, I won't go through everything he does because you know what he does, but can you tell us more about him?
Lawrence is one of those quiet guys who really just works his butt off. He was a really excellent student coming out of high school, a wrestler, very tough, physically minded young man. But he's one of those guys who just wants to go to work. He's what I call me being from Detroit, man, he's a graveyard shift guy. He wants to put his, steel toe boots on, his hard hat, he goes to work. Very quiet, silent guy, but when he's on the field, he plays hard. And he's just one of these guys that you really can build a program around.
And the other guy I want to ask you about is Christian Teague. Tell us about him.
I tell you what, so I don't know if you can see the huge smile on my face. And damn near might probably get emotional about Christian Teague. Christian Teague walked on. Christian Teague was a walk-on guy. And when we talk about physicality is a lifestyle, this is Christian Teague. There is no sacrifice in Christian Teague. There was commitment. There was prioritizing in Christian Teague. Christian Teague gained 35 pounds, lived in the weight room, worked with Coach Carr, defensive line coach, on getting his technique better and earned a scholarship. This young man, deserves any and everything he gets. Because when you talk about buying in, he may have had one chip, he was all in.
Mhm.
He was all in. And once again, without faith, without works, and faith is dead. His faith and his work is showing to prove that it could be done. And this young man is incredible. He is incredible. He is awesome.
And lastly, Coach, earlier, Norfolk State Coach Odoms talked about, the possibilities that can happen, although his team's on a winning streak. And as you go into Norfolk State, what is going to be your pregame speech of sorts to your kids as you take the field?
Really, I don't think the pregame speech changes. It doesn't, because although they have a great offense, like I said, Brent, Carter, and Smith are tremendous players, but so are we. We have to do our job. Each individual must do his job. He can't do someone else's job, because if you cut one of these guys loose, they will hurt you, and they will hurt you bad. But if we can contain them in doing our job and just allow the game to come to us and play it out as we see fit, we will have a great chance. But if we go out and we start seeing things we're not supposed to see, these young men will run circles around us.
With that in mind, this past weekend, was it one of the most sound games your team played all around, even though they didn't win?
I would say probably, but we still had some mistakes though, right? But when you say sound, did we put some things together? Did it come together? Yes. I would say as probably one of the sound games we did. But you still see the youth, creep in, wanting to make the big play. Making the big play is just doing your job. Making the big play, your name doesn't always need to be in the stat line, right? But when you get in that film room and the guy who did make the sack, or the guy who did make the tackle because you forced the ball back inside, or you get a coverage sack because you covered the receiver, it wasn't peeking in the backfield. Those guys will tap you on the helmet and say, hey man, I appreciate that, right? So those are the stats that you don't see.
Hey, Coach, in that same vein, I heard it this morning about the Chiefs that, they right now are maybe doing too much. And when I heard that, I thought about what you said about your players at times, just do your assignment and not overdo it. And they even referenced Patrick Mahomes as maybe doing too much at quarterback. So I guess, credit to you, that does take place a lot.
It does, because it's a sticky situation. You love the vibrant and you love the willingness and the competitiveness, right? You don't want to kill that in a young man, but you also want him to be disciplined. As we say, see a little, see a lot. Just see your key, read your key, and go attack it. Know the call, hear the call, do your job. If I hear the call, I must know the call, and I just need to do my job. And so what happens is, the quarterback might spill out and lose, we might lose contain, and the corner wants to come off and make that tackle. But if you do that, like I keep telling, this conference is an incredible conference. There's some great coaches here, man. And they see things and they pick you up on it and they'll hurt you, right? But like I say, my guys are youthful. I love the youthfulness. I love the vitality. We just got to get these young dogs ready, get them trained up. And when these puppies grow up, they're going to be something to reckon with.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Wheatley, thank you for being here with us. Good seeing you again, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Take care. Morgan State travels to Norfolk, Virginia to take on Norfolk State this Saturday. The game is at 2 p.m. and it'll be broadcast live on the MEAC Digital Network on ESPN+. At this time, we would like to conclude our weekly head coaches video conference. But before we end, I'd like to thank the media who've been on with us, the sports information directors who helped us during the call, and our corporate partners for their continued support. The next call will be Monday, November 1st, so a week from today, beginning at 10 a.m. As always, for up-to-date news on MEAC football and our other sponsored sports, please log on to meacsports.com. Like the MEAC on Facebook and follow MEAC Sports on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Finally, subscribe to the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube. Once again, everyone, thank you for being here with us today, and we will see you next week. Take care.